Let's draw Van Gogh's Starry Night painting in markers with Noura Connolly. Hi, I'm Noura Connolly. In this class, you will learn about Vincent van Gogh and his life. We will learn about Post-impressionism and the painting we will cover, which is Van Gogh's Starry Night. We will sketch an outline in pencil and utilize alcohol markers to render in color Starry Night, one of Van Gogh's most famous paintings, in 6 easy steps. The steps are: 1. Supplies we are using. 2. Print the painting. 3. Sketch the landscape. 4. Different techniques. 5. Render or draw out in markers. And 6. Details. So come along and have some fun. In this section, we are going to cover the projects. The project that you can do based on this class is from one of these 2 reference photos. On the right, we have Van Gogh's Starry Night, and on the left, we have Van Gogh's Sunflowers. In this class, mind you, we are going to cover Starry Night. But if you feel like drawing some flowers, there's also Van Gogh's Yellow Sunflowers. You can draw, paint, watercolor, or marker your own rendition of Starry Night or Van Gogh's Sunflowers. Both Starry Night and the sunflower images are available as an attachment in this class's profile section. I have also provided you with a sketch outline for your Starry Night, for this Starry Night class to help you get started, which we cover in this class both in the sketching section and in the marker section. Finally, once you are done with your sketch and your marker drawing, or if you've used watercolor or paints, you can take your image and upload it to a site such as Redbubble or Society6. That's redbubble.com or society6.com. And then you can make a bag out of it, for instance, like I did here with my painting of Starry Night in acrylics. Now in this class, we're going to move on and cover how to draw Starry Night. Markers can be fun. There are different types of markers that we will be able to use in this class. For instance, these markers on this image show different types of nibs. There's a brush type marker on one end and a wedge on another, or there are wide tip, medium tip, and fine tip nibs. And there are also refills for certain types of markers, which we don't show here. But if you want to get those, you can. Some paper choices you can use are, different types of paper, just from regular paper to watercolor paper to marker paper. And they all cost different amounts, and they all have different performance types. I recommend using marker paper. And finally, you will get better with practice and application of using your markers. Next, we will talk about Starry Night's marker colors. For the trees in the image, you will use greens and browns. For the hills, a light brown, a dark green, and a dark blue. For the town, recommended colors are yellows, light blues, such as a sky blue and a cerulean blue, an orange red, and a gray. And then for the skies, part of the image of Starry Night, you can use different types of blues, from light blues to dark blues. For the stars, yellows in a variety of colors, or if you only have one, just stick to yellow and possibly an orange to make the definition details. And finally, for the details of the overall piece, once we sketch the outline of Starry Night, we will utilize black to go over those outlines. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. This is Starry Night, the image. It can be found in the description section of the class, and I recommend you print it out so that you have a reference photo in front of you when you draw it on your own and follow with the class. Starry Night is a painting by Vincent van Gogh. In this painting, it shows a small town called Saint-Rémy under a night sky of swirling stars and a moon. There's a large cypress tree, which I'm drawing now, to the left of the painting. In this painting, paint is applied thickly. He painted it in an insane asylum in 1889. In this sketch, I start out by drawing the cypress tree to give us a place to start from and a point of reference. Then I'm going to apply the background rolling hills that feature in the distance. Then I will move to sketching first, the actual town to the right. And above the mountains, I will move to the stars. Sketching is used to set in place things that will be helpful to help us apply the paint, or in our case, utilize our markers and have a place to place the colors on when we render our colors. Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night is a post-impressionistic painting. Post-impressionists push the boundaries further than the impressionists. The impressionist movement is an era that is marked by Monet, Degas, and Renoir. Post-impressionism came after impressionism. The era for post-impressionism is 1885 up until 1910. What are some of the styles and characteristics of post-impressionism? There are light and shadows, colors in their art that they learned from the impressionists. But their goal was to add new ideas, to try new subjects and techniques, perspectives, shapes, and show their thoughts and emotions through their art. This is the new world of modern art, opened up by the impressionists, and taken a step further by the post-impressionists. Now that we sketched out a quick freehand drawing, we are going to finish our work by rendering it in color with markers. Here we start out with the yellow marker and start out with the stars. How do you use your markers? It's important to familiarize yourself with the different nibs. Test the colors of your markers on a different paper first to see what color you are using. Markers may bleed through certain papers, so put another loose sheet behind the one you're working on. Use slow strokes like we do here, short strokes in a circular motion for the stars, and then we move on to the house lights. Try to work from light to dark. Next, we move on to the cypress tree. We're going to use an olive green, another type of green, a light brown, and even some black towards the end to fill it in. To finalize, once you've used your markers, you can end the drawing with colored pencils to enhance details like the stars. But here we're going to finish with our cypress tree. And then we're going to move on to filling out the background of the houses with a light green. We start with the lighter color and also on the rolling hills. The reason why we use a lighter color is when you add a darker color over it, the light color pops through on the spaces that you don't leave too much, with your strokes. Next, we're going to use the thinner point, the fine point of the nib, to draw out some of the hills as well. And we're going to go over the rolling hills as well. Starry Night can be seen at the MoMA, which is the Museum of Modern Art here in New York City. Here on the cypress tree, as I mentioned, we're going to make short strokes in the downward motion on the cypress tree in black. We're going to use some of the black also to outline some of the hills as well as the background mountains. We make an outline on the houses, the church, and the other houses to the right of the painting. Van Gogh lived from 1853 up until 1890, and he was Dutch. Yet afterwards, he moved to France. He is considered one of the greatest post-impressionist artists of all time. He used striking colors, emphatic brushwork, which we are imitating here, and contoured forms. His work powerfully influenced the current of expressionism in modern art. The houses can be outlined with the roof and the base of the house in black. Here we used black for the rolling hills as well in the background, so that they can stand out. If you need to, refer to the painting which I have provided in the details of the class. Next, we move on to the clouds, adding yellow for the background in short brush strokes. As you can see here, I'm using a brush marker, which we have described previously. There are different types of markers. Starry night details. These are the stars, and you can see that the glow of the moon is also very, very apparent with the circular motion. Some facts. Van Gogh discovered painting after many failed professions, such as art dealer and even preacher. Most of Van Gogh's 800 plus paintings were created in the last 10 years of his life. He aimed to express his thoughts and emotions in his art. Hence, the emotion can be seen by the short brush strokes and the swirling motion of the clouds and the stars. He worked tirelessly day and night with little money. Van Gogh's paintings are filled with color and swirling images portraying an intensity of feelings. Starry Night facts. Van Gogh painted Starry Night in Saint-Rémy, France, in June of 1889 while plagued with depression and at St. Paul's Asylum in southern France. And yes, he did cut off his ear, as you will see in one of his paintings later on in this class. He did do that after an argument with Paul Gauguin, where they were trying to build an artist commune in the countryside of Arles, France. Yet, he committed himself to an asylum afterwards, as he could barely care for himself. Next, we use some dark green marker on the rolling hills and also on the background of the mountains. We try and fill in as many of the brush strokes. Here we see Theo, Vincent van Gogh's brother, who he was very close to. Next, we use some light blue or cerulean blue in the sky, and we go over the yellow brush strokes with blue so that we fill in some of the blank white spaces. As you can see, it's starting to come together, the painting. This image is a very famous image. What is the meaning of it? The meaning of Starry Night can be derived from the large cypress tree. It's a symbol of graveyards, mourning, and death. The stars, on the other hand, are symbols of dreaming, heaven, and yet also death. We keep filling out the sky with the light blue, following the short strokes in the motion of a circular motion, following the clouds in yellow, and outlining the stars a little bit as well to give some definition to the painting. I will also use some light blue on the mountains to give some context and some depth to the painting's mountains. Finally, I utilize a dark blue on the background of the mountains and going over the light blue that I used previously to fill out some of the white space. Short brush strokes are again used. You can use as many different colors in blue as you have, maybe 2 or 3, so that it can give some different contrast to the color scheme. Starry Night was painted from memory and not outdoors, as was Van Gogh's preference. This might explain why this painting in particular is so powerful, is so much more powerful than some of his other works in this time period. I go over again with a different type of blue, with a nib that has a brush marker. This will give a little bit of depth. Finally, I choose to use some light blue on the rooftops of the houses, but I'm going to go over them with a gray as well at some point. This video was sped up so that you two could see what was going on. I pick up an orange marker in order to define the stars with a little bit of strokes, circular motion strokes, and make the points in the center of the star where it's hotter. And then one house has a red rooftop, like on Van Gogh's painting. Finally, I use the dark blue, an even darker blue, on the sky and some of the outlines of the lighter blue, and on some of the lighter blue outlines. I also try and define the clouds in a circular motion. It is noted that upon completion, Van Gogh deemed the painting to be a failure. He wrote so to his brother Theo. He never expected it to become famous like it is today. He also wrote to his friend Émile Bernard, where he called the painting a failure, believing that he had made a mistake in going too far astray from nature into abstraction. Although Vincent van Gogh wasn't famous during his lifetime, today he is hailed as one of the most greatest artists of Post-impressionism, with over 800 plus surviving oil paintings and over 1,000 watercolors and sketches. As you can see here, on the left is a self-portrait of Van Gogh and another self-portrait of Van Gogh with his ear cut off. Here I use a gray blue for some of the rolling hills to give a darkness so that they are pushed more towards the back. But I don't want them to be darker than the cypress tree, which I used black on, so that the cypress tree comes forward. Then I use a darker gray on the rooftop houses, and I put some lines on so that they look like thatched houses, because it's a small town. And I use another gray for the rest of the houses. If you choose to use markers or watercolors or even paint it with acrylics, this is the best way to do it. Make yourself an outline and then use short strokes, even with paintbrushes, and follow the outline of the painting. We're almost done here. Just a few more lines on the mountains, and we should have a finalized, complete version of this painting. We're also going to add a few touch-ups on the sky to get rid of some of the white spaces. You don't have to get rid of all of the white spaces. I use a gold on the moon because I want it to stand out, and on some of the stars as well. This is my interpretation of Starry Night. If you choose to make Starry Night in other colors, you're welcome to do so. But here, I tried to follow Van Gogh's inspiration and make it my own. As you should do the same, make it your own. Please feel free to attach some of your paintings to the description down below.